Hello there, a very good evening and welcome to another edition of Primetime News on TV1. I'm Charlotte Benedict for the Newsfirst team.
And I'm Naveksha Gunasekara. Here are your headlines for tonight.
President emphasizes commitment to working with Maldives for a peaceful and prosperous Indian Ocean region. Tessa Kuttiarachi unconditionally apologizes to President Anura in court for statement regarding money in Malta. Comprehensive investigation into the deaths of Yatinura Pradesh Sabha opposition leader, his wife and daughter. Deshabandhu seeks court order to prevent arrest in connection with attack on Aragalaya protesters. American response to tariff discussions expected by the 1st of August.
Taking a look at those stories in detail now. President Nalu Danayaka said that Sri Lanka and the Maldives, while marking 60 years of diplomatic relations, will continue to strengthen their ties and move forward as nations with a shared vision and common goals.
A special state banquet was hosted last evening by Maldivian President Dr. Mohamed Muizzu in honor of Sri Lankan President Nalu Danayaka, who is currently on an official visit to the Maldives. The event was held at the Kuruba Maldives resort.
Whether it is strengthening maritime security or engaging through multilateral forms, Sri Lanka is committed to working with the Maldives to build a peaceful, prosperous and sustainable Indian Ocean region. Looking ahead, I firmly believe our two countries will move forward not only as friends but as close partners united by shared vision and common purpose. I am confident that this state visit will pave the way for deeper cooperation, broader understanding and a stronger friendship between our nations.
The Maldives and Sri Lanka are more than just neighbors. Ours is a relationship deeply rooted in history, in shared values, and in the close kinship of our people. It is a bond defined by trust, mutual respect, and enduring friendship. For generations, Maldivians have looked to Sri Lanka not only as a partner, but as a second home, a sentiment echoed in countless personal and institutional ties that connect our societies. Our two nations have long cooperated in vital areas: education, health, and human resource development. But over time, this partnership has grown, evolved, and diversified. From the early days of trade in the dried fish, once synonymous with our exchange, our economic and development ties have expanded into tourism, digital technology, security cooperation, and cultural exchange. I am confident that together we can unlock untapped potential and expand opportunities for our people. Let us seize this momentum to work more closely in building inclusive prosperity, sustainable development, and regional stability. I wish to reaffirm my government's commitment to working side by side with Sri Lanka in pursuit of our shared aspirations to uplift lives, to strengthen peace and progress, and to foster a future built on solidarity and shared vision.
President Nalu Danayaka is accompanied by Foreign Affairs Minister Vijitha Hera and several senior officials.
Former Member of Parliament from the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, Janaka Tessa Kuttiarachi, expressed an unconditional apology before the Colombo Magistrates Court to President Nalu Danayaka. This was in connection with a previous incident involving a defamatory statement made about the President.
On 19th of August 2023, during a public rally organised by the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna in the Colombo Central area, then MP Janaka Kuttiarachchi made a statement alleging that Anurukumara Disanayaka had invested 5 billion rupees in Malta. This statement became the basis for the legal case. In the petition filed by Disanayaka, it was stated that the MP's remarks portrayed him as a corrupt individual acting with malicious intent and as someone who receives large sums of money from foreign sources for hidden agendas. Disanayaka claimed that the statement severely damaged his reputation and requested the court to order the respondents, including Janaka Kuttiarachchi, to pay 10 billion rupees in compensation. The case was settled amicably with agreement of both parties. Former MP Janaka Kuttiarachchi appeared before the Colombo Magistrates Court and issued an unconditional apology regarding the statement.
At
present, Anurukumara Disanayaka is the president of this country. Regardless of what was said during the election period, as citizens, we now recognize him as the president of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka. That's why Minister Lal Kantha said he should be given strong protection. We've always supported that. Even past presidents were protected in this way. So the complaint filed by the current president against me has now been resolved through mutual agreement. Today, by expressing unconditional regret, we have brought this case to a close.
මේක අධිකරණ කටයුත්තක් නිසා මේකේ ලිඛිතවම අපි දීලා තියෙනවා කොන්දේසි විරහිත කනගාටුව ප්‍රකාශ කිරීමක් කියලා. මොකද මේ කරුණු කාරණා දිගට යන්න ඕනේ, ඒක ඔප්පු කරන්න ඕනේ ප්‍රශ්න ගණනාවක් තියෙන නිසා නඩුව ඉදිරියට ගෙනියන්නේ නැතුව දවසේ කනගාටුව ප්‍රකාශ කළා නඩුව සමතේටපත් කර ගැනීමක් සිදු වුණා දෙපාර්ශ්වයේම එකගතාවයේ මත. ඔහු මොකද්ද කිව්වේ?
What he said was that dollars had come into Anurukumara's account from several foreign countries. He claimed that all those dollars were invested in Malta, amounting to 5 billion rupees. That's how he tried to expose Anurukumara Disanayaka. But today, the Honourable Court accepted that all those allegations were baseless and false. There's another case filed by Sagara Karivasam based on this statement. We don't know if they'll handle it the same way.
සාගර කාර්යවසම්ගේ තව නඩුවක් තියෙනවා. අපි දන්නේ නැහැ ඒගොල්ලෝ මේ විදිහටම කරයිද කියලා.
මේක විශාල චෝදනාවක්. මේ චෝදනාවට ඔබතුමාලා සනාථ කරන්න කාරණා තිබ්බා. දැන් මේගොල්ලොත් එක්කම ඩීල් එකක් තියෙනවද කියලා අපිට ජනතාවට සාධාරණ සැකයක් ඇති වෙනවා.
ජනාධිපතිවරයාට අධිකරණයට එන්න බෑ. ඉතින් ඔහු අත්සන් කළා දුන්නා. ඔහුට අවශ්‍ය වන්නේ එච්චරයි. තිස්ස කුට්ටිආරච්චි කියපු ප්‍රකාශය බොරුවක් කියන එක. තිස්ස කුට්ටිආරච්චිගෙන් අපි සල්ලි ගන්නද? වන්දි ගන්නද? අපිට ඇති වැඩක් නෑ ඒවා.
The Mount Lavinia Magistrates Court has ordered the release of former Minister Duminda Danayaka in connection with the case involving a gold-coloured T-56 assault rifle.
The case was heard before Mount Lavinia Magistrate Chaturika De Silva, who ordered the release of the former minister, citing the absence of direct and circumstantial evidence. Disanayaka was arrested on the 23rd of May in connection with the investigations into the ownership of a gold-coloured T-56 rifle found at a luxury housing complex in Havelock City. Following his arrest, he was remanded by the Mount Lavinia Magistrates Court. However, on the 14th, he was released on bail after the court considered a bail application. Two women who were also in remand custody in connection with the incident have now been released on bail as well.
Due to the Criminal Investigation Department allegedly preparing to arrest him, Inspector General of Police Deshabandhu Tennakoon has filed an anticipatory bail application before the Colombo Magistrates Court seeking an order to prevent such arrest. He made this request citing the incident involving the attack on the Goldface Green protest site, claiming there is an intention to take him into custody over the matter.
Upon reviewing the application today, Colombo Magistrate Nilupuli Lankapura issued a notice to the officer in charge of Unit 3 of the CID's Special Investigation Division, instructing them to present facts regarding the matter. Appearing on behalf of the petitioner, Attorney at Law Ajit Patrinal stated that on the day of the incident, his client acted under the instructions of the then President. He further informed the court that a case related to the incident is currently being heard before the Supreme Court and that a final verdict has not yet been delivered. delivered. The attorney at law requested the court to issue notice to the respondents and to set a date for the hearing of the bail application. After considering the facts, the magistrate issued a notice to the respondents and scheduled the next hearing for 5th of August.
In more news from court, the Supreme Court has ruled that the National Police Commission violated the fundamental rights of 5 police officers who served in the Police Assistance Service Division. Now, these officers were integrated into the regular police service through a cabinet decision, but were subsequently denied promotions they were entitled to. Accordingly, the Supreme Court has ordered the respondents to restore the seniority and career progression due to these officers.
The Supreme Court on the 25th of July handed down their decision on 5 fundamental rights petitions. These petitions were filed by 5 police officers, including a female police officer from the Police Assistance Service Division. They sought a ruling that their fundamental rights had been violated by the denial of promotions they were entitled to, despite meeting the qualifications based on seniority and merit. The petitions were considered before a bench of the Supreme Court comprising of former Chief Justice Murdu Fernando and Justices AHMD Nawaz and Justice Kumuduni Vikramasinghe. The petitioners who filed these cases were Assistant Superintendent of Police KTT Devapriya Abewardhana, SB PMPGY Bandara Taraka Seniviratna, PMKP Gunawardhana, and Superintendent of Police KB Senaratna. Named as respondents in the petitions were the Inspector General of Police, the Chairman and members of the National Police Commission, among others. The petitioners stated in their petition that a cabinet decision had agreed to abolish the police reserve service and integrate them into the regular police service. However, the petitioners emphasized that due to administrative inaction, this integration was not implemented. They pointed out that based on a circular issued by the Inspector General of Police on the 27th of June 2008, they were reclassified as employees in special and technical staff categories. They filed these petitions asserting that their fundamental rights had been violated by this arbitrary reclassification. They requested that they be granted the promotions they were due and that the derogatory appointment letters classifying them as auxiliary service be cancelled. Accordingly, the judgment states that the petitioners are deemed to be members of the regular police staff effective March 21, 2006. It further orders the respondents to reintegrate them into the regular police staff and restore their seniority and career progression according to the relevant recruitment scheme. The Supreme Court judgment also states that the appointment letters classifying them as an auxiliary service within the police are to be nullified. President's Counsel Salia Pires appeared on behalf of the petitioners.
Champika Nilanta, the Samagi Jana Balawegaya group leader of the Yatinuwara Pradeshiya Sabha, along with his wife and daughter, were found dead at their residence by police this morning. Police spokesperson, Assistant Superintendent of Police F.U. Wootler, stated that the bodies were discovered based on information received.
What happened?
Champika Nilanta was a 52-year-old resident of Yahalathanna Peradeniya. Early this morning, his 12-year-old younger daughter discovered her father's body near their home and alerted the neighbours. Police stated that following a phone call received by the officer in charge of the Peradeniya police station, a team of officers inspected the residence. There, they found Champika Nilanta's body hanging with a nylon rope near the house. Inside the residence, police also discovered the bodies of his 17-year-old elder daughter in an upstairs bedroom and his 44-year-old wife in another part of the house.
How did these deaths occur?
According to the younger daughter, she had returned home last night after a trip and was brought back by Nilanta himself. She told police that her father came near her room last night carrying a wire, but she was unharmed. Police noted that both the elder daughter and wife had visible signs of strangulation around their necks. Based on preliminary investigations, police suspect that Nilanta may have murdered his wife and elder daughter before taking his own life.
What do relatives say?
අයියගේ අපේ තාත්තගේ මල්ලි නැති උනේ. එයා පුංචි ලොකුරංගි. මාගේ ග්‍රැජුවේෂන් එක තිබ්බ ගිය සතියේ. ඒකට ආවා. එයාට මොකක් හරි ප්‍රශ්නයක් තිබ්බා. එයා මොකක් හරි කරපු බිස්නස් එක කවුරු හරි කෙනෙක් තර්ජනය කරා වගේ එයාට ප්‍රශ්නයක් තිබ්බා. ඒකෙන් කනසල්ලෙන් හිටියේ. මේ අපේ තාත්තලා විස්තර හැමදේම දන්නවා. ඒකේ කනසල්ලෙන් ඉඳලා ඒ කියන්නේ ඒක තාමත් තිබ්බා කියලා හොඳටම තේරුණා.
What is the status of the investigation?
Police found a letter at the residence believed to have been written by Champika Nilanta. According to police, the letter reveals details of a threatening situation related to a financial transaction. Investigations have already begun into an individual named in the letter. Champika Nilanta was elected to the Yatinura Pradesh Sabha from the Samagishana Balavega.
Newsfirst with the people.
Harvesting of paddy for the Yalla season has now begun in many areas. What is the situation in the Ampara district like? Let's take a look.
Over 75,000 farming families live in the Ampara district, which makes a major contribution to the country's paddy production. Ampara counts for 23% of Sri Lanka's total paddy output. The paddy harvesting and purchasing process is now underway in the Ampara district. According to the Ampara district secretary, around 65,754 hectares of paddy were cultivated during the Yalla season. The Paddy Marketing Board reports that about 310 metric tons of harvested paddy have so far been received at the Ampara warehouses. White Nadu 2,074,073 kilograms, Red Nadu 1,057,194 kilograms and White Samba 1,811 kilograms have been received according to the Paddy Marketing Board. Although there were 52 warehouses in the Ampara district, only 13 are currently in operation due to various issues. The government recently announced fixed purchasing prices for paddy: 120 rupees per kilogram of Nadu, 125 rupees for Samba and 132 rupees for Kiri Samba. A budget allocation of 6 billion rupees has been set aside for this program, which also includes plans to buy wet paddy.
The mills pay 110 to 111 rupees for paddy, yet the price is 120 rupees. So, if it is properly cleaned and delivered, it will be purchased at 120 rupees. If that doesn't happen, we might have to throw the paddy onto the road. We only need to supply the paddy to the warehouses. Private traders, however, are offering only 105 to 110 rupees.
Paddy harvesting is now taking place in the fields nourished by Maduru Oya, Victoria, Randenigala, Khotmale and Moragahakanda. Harvesting in the fields under the minor irrigation canals has already been completed.
This time, paddy purchasing has been more successful than before, since warehouses were opened and buying began right at harvest time. It provided relief to farmers. The Paddy Marketing Board has also been able to purchase some stock, and now large quantities of paddy are being brought to them.
Chairman of the Sri Lanka Paddy Marketing Board, Manjula Pinnalanda, said that government paddy warehouses have been opened in all harvesting areas. He further said that around 5,223 metric tons of paddy have been purchased for the Yalla season as of this morning. The chairman added that the board will ensure payments are credited to farmers' accounts within 2 days of delivering paddy to the government warehouses. However, farmers stressed that paddy should be purchased promptly under a proper plan, as any delay could once again create difficulties for them.
The government is able to purchase only about 6 to 10% of the total paddy harvest, and purchases so far have been within that range, even when buying at the highest private warehouse rates. Only around 10% has been purchased. Private mill owners are aware of the situation, so they are prepared to wait until the government stops buying paddy and then purchase it at lower prices. If that happens, the remaining farmers will have no choice but to sell at whatever price is offered. This is why we are raising this concern in advance.
A group of villagers staged a protest near the Nochiagama Divisional Secretariat demanding access to the Katupatwava reservoir, which they claim has been unfairly restricted by authorities.
Katupathawa, located in Katupathawa village, has long served the community for daily needs such as bathing, fishing and collecting water lilies. Villagers allege that around 5 years ago, the Department of Wildlife Conservation constructed an elephant fence through the water body. According to residents, the department has prohibited access for the past 3 months, severely impacting their livelihoods.
The boundary stones are placed 6 to 8 meters above the reservoir. That land belongs to us. They took it saying it was for the elephants. Officials promised it was temporary and would be removed after clearing the area with bulldozers. But it's still there. The protest drew the attention of National People's Power MP Professor Sena Nanayaka, who arrived at the scene and addressed the crowd. This reservoir should be freely accessible. You should be able to fish, collect flowers and use it without obstruction. But whether the village is harming the reservoir or not should be decided by you, the mothers, fathers, brothers and sisters of this village. Officials are here to serve you, not restrict you. Don't forget that. Following a discussion led by the MP with the divisional secretary and wildlife officials, it was agreed that the reservoir would be reopened for public use. A formal letter confirming this decision is expected to be issued today. This issue was resolved very amicably today. The elephant fence will remain for now, but all activities within the reservoir area can resume legally from today. The fields are free, the reservoir is accessible and villagers can now fish, collect flowers and carry out their daily routines. Minister of Agriculture K.D. Lalkantha clarified the government's strategy to protect reservoir forest lands during an event held at the Kandy District Secretariat to inaugurate a new service counter. There are always some who criticize, aren't there? Reservoirs have boundaries, even if they're not clearly marked. Various groups have entered these areas. Now we are surveying the valleys and marking boundaries. Those within these limits will be removed in an orderly and lawful manner. During Chandrika's time, Ranil's time, Mahinda's time, these encroachments happened. Only during our time are we saying no more. We won't allow new encroachments. Removing those already inside is essential, and the entire country agrees it must be done. I didn't bring up Dudley, but once society started talking, I had to respond. The Aralia Hotel isn't inside the Wawa Reserve or its boundary. That's the point. So there's nothing to remove. If someone wants to challenge that, let them. How can you remove something that isn't there? If Dudley's property had a fence inside the Wawa, then he should have to remove it. But in this case, there's nothing for us to act on.
Acting Minister of Finance Dr. Anil Jayanth said that the United States response regarding discussions on reducing tariff rates is expected by the 1st of next month. The minister made these remarks while speaking to the media following a program held in Gampaha today.
We previously managed to reduce the rate from 44% to 30%. That was the result of continuous discussions. These talks are still ongoing. We've been told to expect a response by the 1st. We've already presented the necessary proposals and measures from our side. When addressing the trade deficit between the US and Sri Lanka, we are exploring the possibility of increasing imports from the US if suitable products are available. However, we won't purchase goods at prices higher than what we can get from other markets. That's not practical. So we aim to buy at market equivalent prices from relevant American companies.
The minister also stated that the government is paying close attention to reduce VAT.
As a result of a broader tax base, the planned taxes are now being collected. Therefore, there's no need to introduce new types of taxes. We're working and discussing whether VAT can be reduced further. As a responsible government, we aim to stabilize revenue while ensuring public benefit. If we can reduce indirect taxes further, we will. We also invite those who should be part of the tax system to join and pay a fair amount.
An awareness program on the proposed national education reforms was held at the Kurnagala District Secretariat for provincial and zonal education officials. The session was chaired by Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya, who also serves as the Ministry of Education, Higher Education and Vocational Training.
Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya addressed concerns raised by officials regarding the education reforms.
We have data from the ministry census revealing that approximately 20,000 children drop out of the education process. However, an even more alarming statistic presented was only 50% of children attend school daily and 80,000 students don't come at all during the required school hours. This is why we believe that after reviewing the entire system, a change is necessary to better safeguard children and retain them within this framework. Can we achieve the relevant reforms solely through an exam-centric system? We need to seriously consider whether this aligns with current global education systems. Parents need to be aware of what's happening and teachers need to understand. Therefore, social dialogue is extremely important. If we treat this as something carved in a stone and unchangeable, it will fail. That cannot happen. This is precisely why we are taking a step-by-step approach within a long-term plan. We've decided to implement it this way. What are we actually doing? In 2026, we will introduce a new curriculum for both grade 1 and grade 6. Within this new curriculum, we also intend to introduce the new directions we are proposing. The system needs to be prepared and teachers need to be prepared. We will implement the identification of these streams in 3 years in 2029 as we move into the next phase. By then, we believe we can implement the other necessary changes within the system. While there are short-term actions for overall system change, this is a long-term journey, so we are proceeding very systematically step by step.
නමුත් මේක දීර්ඝකාලීන යන්න ඕන ගමනක් නිසා අපි මේක ඉතාමත්ම සැලසුම් සහගතව පියවරෙන් පියවරට යන්නේ.
මේ වෙනකොට 6-11 පන්ති කාමරවල පීරියඩ් 5ක් තියෙනවා. එතකොට කාල පරිච්ඡේදයේ වෙනස් වීම තුල පීරියඩ් 4ක් බවට මේකපත් වෙනවා. නමුත් අපේ විෂය මාලාව දැනට සකස් කරලා තියෙන විෂය ඒකක විදිහට විනාඩි 40ක විෂය ඒකක විදිහට ප්‍රතිසංස්කරණයට ලක් නොවන පන්ති කාමරේ බර වැඩි වේවි කියන එක ගුරු භවතුන්ට සහ පාසලේ ශිෂ්‍ය ශිෂ්‍යාවන්ට මොකද එහෙම ගැටලුවක් මට හැඟෙනවා.
Right මේ කාල පරිච්ඡේදය වෙනස් වුණාම
when the period duration changes, specific guidelines will be required on how the existing syllabus will fit into the new structure.
පාසල් කටයුතු අංශයේ මගින් මේක සූදානම් වෙමින් පවතිනවා. දැන් ඉදිරි කාලසටහන් දෙකටම උපදෙස් නව කාලසටහන කොහොමද සහ පැරණි මේ විෂය නිර්දේශ ක්‍රියාත්මක වන ඒවාට කොහොමද කියන එක පිළිබඳව විශේෂ පාසල් කටයුතු.
නෑ මම හිතන්නේ ඒක මතු කරපු එක වැදගත්.
I think it's important that this point was specifically raised. When two syllabi are currently on the same timetable, an adjustment is necessary. This adjustment cannot be left solely to the teacher's discretion. Guidance will be needed. This point is extremely important.
14 Indian fishermen were arrested last night for allegedly trespassing and engaging in illegal fishing activities in the Sea of Sri Lanka.
Navy spokesperson Commander Buddhika Sampath said that the suspects were arrested on board 2 Indian fishing boats in Battalangunduwa and north of Mannar. 5 Indian fishermen who were arrested while on board a boat in the sea area close to the north of Mannar on charges of illegal fishing across the border have been remanded until the 7th of next month. The fishermen were remanded after they were produced before the Mannar Magistrates Court. Meanwhile, 9 Indian fishermen arrested while on board a boat in the sea area in Kalpitia, Battalangunduwa have been remanded until the 5th of August. The arrested fishermen were produced before the Putlam Magistrates Court this evening through the Department of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, Putlam. Meanwhile, fishermen from Rameswaram and Thangachimadam staged a protest today demanding the release of 14 Indian fishermen and their boats which were apprehended last night for illegally entering and fishing in the sea of Sri Lanka. So far this year, 199 Indian fishermen have been arrested with 27 boats seized on charges of engaging in illegal fishing across the border.
A meeting was held today between Northern Province Governor Nalu Danayaka and Swiss Ambassador to Sri Lanka Dr. Sri Walt. The discussion was held this morning, focused on the challenges faced by the people of the Northern Province.
Northern Province Governor Nalu Danayaka informed the Swiss ambassador that some villages in the province remain underdeveloped and that several roads are yet to be reconstructed. He further noted that while there are resources for the agricultural and fisheries sectors, they are often transported elsewhere as raw materials rather than processed locally into finished products. The governor stressed that establishing factories in the Northern Province could create employment opportunities and boost production. During the discussion, the ambassador also inquired about air services through the Jaffna International Airport in Palali. The delegation raised questions on the activities of local government councils, the Semani mass grave issue, resettlement efforts and concerns over security forces, involvement in civil administration. They also discussed the provincial council elections and the provincial council system. Swiss Ambassador to Sri Lanka Sri Walt emphasized the importance of investment of the region's economic development. The historic Nalu Festival.
The world-renowned and historic Nallur Kandaswamy Kovil in Jaffna commenced its annual Grand Festival today.
The Nallur Kovil Festival, which began this morning with the ceremonial flag hoisting, will continue for 25 days. A special religious puja was held to mark the flag hoisting ceremony. Newsfirst correspondents reported that a large number of devotees participated in this sacred occasion. The Saparam Chariot Festival will be held on the 20th of August. The Thur Festival will take place on the 21st of August. The water cutting ceremony is scheduled for the 22nd of August.
Sri Lanka and Singapore have signed a memorandum of understanding to collaborate on artificial intelligence development and innovation.
The Memorandum of Understanding to collaborate on artificial intelligence between Sri Lanka and Singapore was formalized at the Innovation 4.0 building of the National University of Singapore. The MOU was signed by Lawrence Lew, Director of AI Innovation at AI Singapore, and Senaraddi Sanayaka, Sri Lanka's High Commissioner to Singapore, on behalf of the Ministry of Digital Economy of Sri Lanka. This strategic partnership aligns with Sri Lanka's vision of becoming a digitally inclusive nation and aims to strengthen cooperation in AI advisory support, knowledge exchange and capacity building. The collaboration is expected to enhance Sri Lanka's digital capabilities while adopting global best practices in AI governance.
Lions Club International Multiple District 306 and the Bar Association of Sri Lanka signed a memorandum of understanding to launch a nationwide legal literacy campaign.
Lions Club International, Multiple District 306 and the Bar Association of Sri Lanka have entered into a landmark partnership by signing a Memorandum of Understanding to roll out a nationwide legal literacy initiative. The MOU was signed at the BASL headquarters by the President of the BASL, Rajiv Amarasuriya, and multiple council chairperson of Lions MD 306, Lion Shiana Jailat.
The objective, the initiative of this collaboration, joint collaboration and partnership is to use the strength of our two institutions. The Lions, the multiple district with, I understand, 12 districts, across the length and breadth of the country, to use the mobilization you have together with again we have probably a similar dispersion around the country, but use the knowledge of our lawyers, our members, the skills they have, and to provide service to the community. And hopefully hopefully, if this partnership goes according to what we have envisaged, what we have planned, there will be better legal knowledge, awareness amongst the wider population.
This partnership service is definitely more than charity, and when we look at initiatives like this, we are taking out the charity element and bringing it service element, where it's not only those who are not educated but those around us who certainly would not be aware of what our rights are, of the different laws in place and how we can go forward. We have discussed a very robust and interesting outline of program initiatives to take forward. Can be online, it's going to the grassroots with our service programs from Katargama all the way up to Jaffna, from Colombo all the way up to Batiklu and everywhere in between. And as Rajiv said very correctly, encourage and educate, and under different areas, not just general knowledge, but in specific areas, and together build knowledge and a better civic society, because it will always start with us in terms of making those changes.
The initiative is expected to roll out a series of grassroots programs, legal clinics and educational outreach campaigns in the coming months.
A media briefing on the 38th Annual Conference and the 4th National Apex Awards was held in Colombo yesterday.
The press conference for the 38th Annual Conference and 4th National Apex Awards of the OPA took place at the OPA Auditorium.
The 38th Annual Conference will be held on the 19th and 20th of August at Cinnamon Life Hotel, Colombo, together with the 4th National Apex Awards. The inauguration ceremony will take place on the 19th of August and will include the presentation of the National Apex Awards. The Apex Awards are held every 3 years and will recognize 10 professionals who have excelled in their respective fields and made a significant contribution to the betterment of our society. This year's annual conference is held at an especially significant time as the OPA celebrates its Golden Jubilee anniversary. The theme of the year of the conference is Resilience and Outpace Redefined, Thriving and Adapting. The second day of the annual conference will take place on the 20th of August and will consist of 5 technical sessions on 5 different topics related to our main theme. Based on the recommendation and insight of these sessions, concept papers will be formulated to be presented to the government and other stakeholders to help guide future public policy.
The 38th Annual Conference of the Organization of Professional Associations of Sri Lanka will take place on the 19th and 20th of August 2025 at Cinnamon Life, Colombo. This year, the annual conference will focus on the timely and highly relevant theme, Resilience and Outpace Redefined, Thriving and Adapting.
The Integrated Food Security Phase Classification, or IPC, a global hunger monitoring system, has warned that the worst-case scenario of famine is now unfolding in Gaza. It said that food consumption has sharply deteriorated, with 1 in 3 individuals going without food for days at a time.
The Integrated Food Security Phase Classification, also known as IPC, a global hunger monitoring system, said that in Gaza, malnutrition rose rapidly in the first half of July, with more than 20,000 children being admitted for treatment for acute malnutrition between April and mid-July. More than 3,000 are severely malnourished. The IPC alert comes against the backdrop of its latest analysis released in May 2025, which projected that by September 2025, the entire population of Gaza would face high levels of acute food insecurity, with more than 500,000 people expected to be in a state of extreme food deprivation, starvation and destitution. US President Donald Trump said that Israel's starvation starvation in Gaza yesterday, a departure from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's insistence that there is not. Asked if he agreed with Netanyahu that it was a bold-faced lie to say Israel was fueling hunger in Gaza, the US president replied that based on television, not particularly, because those children look very hungry.
It's a terrible situation. The whole thing is terrible. It's been bad for many years, but it's great to hear you feel the same way that I do. We have to help on a humanitarian basis before we do anything. We have to get the kids fed. We have a lot of access to food. We got a lot of food ourselves, and we're going to bring it over there. We're also going to make sure that they don't have barriers stopping people. You know, you've seen the areas where they actually have food, and the people are screaming for the food in there. They're 35, 40 yards away, and they won't let them because they have lines that are set up. And whether they're set up by Hamas or whoever, but they're very strict lines, so we have to get rid of those lines. But we're going to be getting some good, strong food. We can save a lot of people. I mean, some of those kids that's real starvation stuff. I see it. And you can't fake that. So we're going to be even more involved. We did some airlifts before, some airdrops, and the people are running for it.
He later commented again that, quote-unquote, that's real starvation stuff. I see it and you can't fake that. Trump, who was speaking during a meeting with Sir Keir Starmer yesterday in Scotland, added that the US would be even more involved in helping with humanitarian assistance to the people of Gaza. Keir Starmer will hold an emergency UK cabinet meeting to discuss a peace plan and aid efforts for Gaza. The Prime Minister presented a European-led peace plan for Gaza to Trump yesterday during a meeting in Scotland.
US and Chinese officials began a second day of talks in Stockholm on Tuesday to resolve a long-standing economic dispute and step back from an escalating trade war between the world's two biggest economies.
The meeting may not yield immediate large breakthroughs, but the two sides could agree to another 90-day extension of a tariff truce struck in mid-May. It may also pave the way for a potential meeting between US President Donald Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping later in the year, though Trump denied going out of his way to seek one. The delegation met for more than 5 hours yesterday at the Swedish Prime Minister's office in central Stockholm. Neither side made statements after the first day of talks. US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent was seen arriving at Rosenbad this morning after a separate meeting with the Swedish Prime Minister. China's Vice Premier also arrived at the venue. China is facing an August 12th deadline to reach a durable tariff agreement with the Trump administration, after reaching preliminary deals in May and June to end weeks of escalating tit-for-tat tariffs and a cut-off of rare earth minerals.
India has said its security forces killed 3 militants who shot dead 26 civilians near a tourist town in Indian-administered Kashmir in April, triggering a brief military conflict with Pakistan.
Home Minister Amit Shah told Parliament the men had been killed by Indian forces near the disputed region's main city Srinagar yesterday. He claimed the attackers were Pakistani nationals, a charge Islamabad has denied. The men's identity was confirmed through forensic and ballistic tests, Shah told MPs. Pakistan has not commented on the claims, which have not been independently confirmed and come amid mounting criticism of India's government for alleged security lapses in Kashmir. 26 men, mostly Hindu tourists, were killed by gunmen who opened fire at Mountain Meadow, not far from the scenic town of Pahalgam on the 22nd of April, in one of the deadliest attacks in the region in recent years. Delhi accused Islamabad of supporting militant groups involved in the attack, a charge Pakistan has repeatedly denied.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News on TV1 for tonight.
Thank you for watching.
Good night.